Sovereignty, and I use this background today that was taken through a window with a little raindrop on it. It was beautiful. It could have been this morning, except I didn't get out to see the sunrise because it did rain a little bit last night. I want to talk about sovereignty and how we own life. I don't know about you, but I know a whole bunch of people whose businesses were significantly affected by COVID. Some in a real negative direction, some really positively, and some didn't have a huge revenue challenge, but it caused them to really restructure what they were doing. Like, how do you get customers? How do you serve customers? What products and services can you offer? What changes need to be made in order to accommodate the new world we live in, which is now hugely gone to virtual. Everything is delivered. So there's even less in-person contact. You don't even go to stores anymore, or very rarely, and everything is moved significantly in the direction of virtual connection. We're moving to different currencies, cryptocurrency. I've got some friends that are deeply in that, heavily invested and heavily involved in understanding and teaching. The point is, all of that stuff can feel really overwhelming. It does to me sometimes. I first heard about Bitcoin many years ago, probably 12 years ago. 2010, I think, was when I first started seeing it, somewhere in that neighborhood, 9, 10, or 11. And I don't know when it got invented, but that's when it first came into my consciousness. And I almost bought a Bitcoin mining computer because I thought, it would be fun. And if I had, and I'd mined some Bitcoin and it has multiplied 1,000 times in value, I would have made some significant money, but I don't feel bad about that, and I'm not worried at all. And this is the key to today's life. Your ability to control your life is bigger than you think. So we've got inflation, we've got crazy gas prices that we don't individually control. So we get mad at governments because things go up and down, and it feels like everything is just this crazy cacophony of noise and stuff like that. We've got huge political divisiveness in the U.S., at least. And my wife and I are both dual national, and we happen to live in Canada. But because we're also U.S. citizens, we pay attention. And I have to say, from the Canadian perspective, what goes on in the U.S. right now looks really weird. The governing bodies, the courts and the Congress and everything arguing and pointing fingers. It looks like a sham of a trial that's been going on about this January 6th thing. No question what went on there was horrible and people should be accountable. But the way they've done that trial with, anyway, I'm not going to get into politics. It doesn't really matter. It's aimed at not justice, but creating, noise, and that's sad. It leads you and me, all of us, to feeling like we've got no control, no power. Our paychecks are being eroded, inflation and gas and prices in the airport. I've got to fly down to the U.S. a few times in the rest of this year, and I'm looking at airlines, and it isn't even so much about the prices. I'm trying to figure out if I can even get flights. Am I even going to be able to get on a flight to go do what I want to do? And is it going to be canceled? And, all the rest. So this is very complicated and messy bunch of stuff. So that's the setup. And the thing I want to give you today is calmness and certainty. I don't control the weather. This beautiful picture, sunset, I think. And I miss the Arizona sunsets. I lived in Arizona for a long time, and I'm not moving back to Phoenix. It's too hot. But I certainly miss the Arizona beauty and sunsets. Here's the thing. I finally figured out, after my ride through life, depression and addictions and lots of money and all the things that I did, and crashes and burning, and if you want to read about it, Tightrope of Depression. My journey from darkness, despair, and death to light, love, and life. Look it up on Amazon. Anyway, I finally realized that I am the master of my life. I don't control the externalities, but I do control how I feel every day. And the idea, I used to believe, I can't feel good when bad things are happening, and that's not true. I do feel good right now, even though I'm subject to all the same stuff going on. And in fact, for us, this Ukrainian war is front and center because my dear, blessed angel wife, Joyce, she is Ukrainian. full on. Her dad was born in Odessa. He was a first-generation refugee, left after World War II, spent some time in a camp, emigrated to Canada in the 50s. And so she was born, my wife was born here, but barely. Her dad was here 10 years, and then, she was born. So all of that since February has been up close and personal right in our faces, and we've responded. Joy's very active in the Ukrainian community here, and she donates all kinds of stuff and finds things to donate to the Ukrainian churches. And Edmonton happens to be a big Ukrainian center because they immigrated here 100 years ago, tons and tons of them. So that we get to see all that. But that's just another way that for us, at least, this is up close, personal, front and center, and all the rest. And for you, your life, there's other things that are up close and personal. But even though that is true, what I know is that by controlling, it's like the old serenity prayer for alcoholics, right? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I used to hear that. God grant me the resignation to just deal with what I can't change, and the courage to change the ones I can, with a white-knuckle fight, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's true in business, and it's true in personal things. And that's not how I hear it now. Serenity is serenity. Today, I've learned to calmly allow every person to have their own experience, to not be affected by gas prices, inflation, grumpy people, or anything else, because I now understand they are living life the best they can with how they see it. That doesn't need to affect me. That might all sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but what it does is it leaves me in complete peace all the time. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. Oh, complete peace every day. What that does is it frees me up to write the books, make lives, post on social media, write music, working on that today. 3 more songs. One's called Forgiveness, one's called Be a Light, and one's called Invitation. And those are 3 songs off the new album that'll be coming out in March of next year, in about 8 months. Anyway, I get to create in complete peace and serenity with no turmoil or upheaval about what's going on. That serenity is hard won, and it's true in my business. So I don't know what your business is, but whatever it is, if you have a bricks and mortar store, if you work for a company, if you work for yourself, if you're creating a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you're dabbling, or you're a wildly successful entrepreneur, or you're an entrepreneur who's going up and down and struggling, all of those things can take place in serenity, in surrender, not abdication, but in complete peace. I know it because I live there now. And my mission this year is to help 10 million people get there, to live that ultimate life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with their divine gifts. So I give you this video today to assure you that you are the master of your life. Your life is nothing more than the time you have and the choices you make. Your life is not the things that happen to you. Everything happens for us. When I finally had sense enough to realize I could make lemons from lemonade and learn lessons and have joy even in the midst of pain and struggle and even severe. I remember specifically when I was paralyzed on December 5th, 2018, coming up on 4 years ago. I woke up, morning of December 5th, paralyzed from the waist down, fell out of bed on my face. Had to call 911 to go to the hospital to figure out what was wrong. How was I paralyzed suddenly from the waist down? I remember choosing on the way to the hospital in the back of the ambulance, the only time I've ever ridden to the hospital in an ambulance, what is the gift here? I chose to do that, and it changed everything. It didn't change my body. It didn't unfreeze my legs, but it changed how I felt, how I met the doctors and the ER and what happened the next 10 days. And they did emergency surgery in the middle of the night and were able to clear things up. And I was able to walk out of the hospital 10 days later. But I didn't know that on the 5th. And I loved and lived through the next 10 days and would have loved it if I'd stayed paralyzed. I love each moment of life and lean into every challenge and opportunity. And that's the secret to exercising the sovereignty that you have over life, over business, over your money, over your relationships, over everything. Like, what is it worth to you to live in perpetual joy? I don't know. To me, it was worth anything. So I did the work. And that's my mission now, is to share that opportunity, that path, and that possibility to everyone, with everyone. Where I have it, the secrets and the tools and everything is yourultimatelife.ca, because I am in Canada. Yourultimatelife.ca. Go there. Check out some stuff. See if there's anything that'll help you. Regardless, I love you. I'm grateful that you've watched this. And I encourage you with all my heart to take the sovereign control of your life. Choose joy. And do not allow anyone to decide how you feel and how you live. See you tomorrow.